Welcome back to Pop Culture Theory. I am Sakura. We are here live today with the second part of my playtest video. I'm going to go ahead and cut real quick here, and we're going to let some viewers join. So we're going to be offline for a minute, and then I'm going to cut right back in, and we're going to talk a little more about my Pathfinder 2.0 playtest video. All right, we are back. So I chopped the video there for just a second so I can go ahead and I'm already live over here on this side. I can take your guys' questions if you have any. After making my first video yesterday, I realized that I had more things I could tell you guys. There's some other pieces I knew. I took some notes while I was there, even though I wasn't able to get all the pictures. So I had more details that I could share with you all. And as I saw some of the questions popping up, I was like, oh, I know answers to that. So I answered a couple of them in the comments on Reddit, and I figured I could just come live, answer more. If you guys have any questions for me, go ahead and ask me. I'm going to check over to the side every once in a while, see if anyone has any direct questions. I don't know a lot. Once again, not with the Piazzo team. I've only had a chance to playtest this one time, and I got a lot out of that one playtest, but doesn't mean I'm going to be able to answer every question. But I did take some pretty accurate notes, I feel like, so hopefully I'll be able to talk about a few things we didn't cover yesterday. I'm also going to try to make this video a little shorter. I realized I kind of rambled for a second yesterday, so let me get all the necessary, formal stuff out of the way first. I am Sakura here with Pop Culture Theory. I'm doing my video on the Pathfinder 2.0 playtest that I had a chance to do at the Gamma Trade Show last week. In the background, you might hear a little music. It's from Albus Music, or ALBVS Music, here on YouTube. It's some copyright-free music, and a friend of my wife's, so it works out. Now, I am going to be doing some talking here. I might be looking over to this side. I have a couple of notes that I took there that I didn't mention last time, and I want to make sure we go through those. If you have any questions for me, I'll be checking over to the side. Ask me. I'll see what I can explain. In the video, first thing I want to explain is I covered it a little last video, but it was unclear, and then I had to correct myself in some comments about some things. So let me do a couple of corrections first and foremost. I said cat burglar last video. I actually meant cat fall. And I want to say it's not the class feat according to my notes here. It's actually a skill feat, and if I remember right, it takes 10 feet of damage off when you fall. Cat burglar, different thing. I didn't mean to say cat burglar, I meant to say cat fall. The other thing that I was going to mention from the last video is Return of the Rune Lords. Return of the Rune Lords is built for the first Pathfinder. But there was mention that they were going to try to make it just loose enough because they know a lot of people will want to play test that material for Pathfinder 2.0. So that's what I was trying to say. It is a first edition Pathfinder AP mod, but it is, or Adventure Path, but it will hopefully be playtestable in Pathfinder 2.0 is what I was getting from Piazzo. So those are two of my clarifications I just wanted to get out of the way right away. There might be a couple of other things, but I also wanted to address two-handed weapon fighting. That's been something that's come up in the Reddit, and I wanted to just explain a little more on that. So my rogue, I was playing Marisil, and I had a rapier and a dagger. My rapier and dagger, in one of the rounds, I had my 3 actions. I attacked with the rapier. I asked them about how that works in relation to the dagger then, and if I get an offhand. So I only get 3 attacks, period. That's, each one is an attack. But going to the dagger was interesting because it had an agile feature, which meant it actually had less minuses each time, even though it was on the offhand. Offhand has nothing to do with getting extra minuses, though. I think that helps clarify some of the main questions I was getting about if your offhand had extra minuses or not. And there's an agile feature that actually makes two-handed or two-weapon fighting a little better. But at least from what I saw in the material, there's nothing that's going to make two-weapon fighting get extra attacks. Maybe when we get higher into the feats, that'll be something we'll see, but at first level, it's just not a thing. You're getting your 3 attacks no matter what. Doesn't matter what hand they're coming from. Same penalties for either hand. Think that mostly clarifies that. No questions on this end yet, so I'm just going to keep going with some of the other information that I feel I missed last time. I remembered the word heritage. Last time I rambled in my video for a little bit about how there's ancestry, and ancestry replaces race. The other one they used was heritage. It wasn't actually in play when I was doing the playtest, but one of the Piazzo team members was mentioning that there was this concept of heritage, and that would maybe be the difference between a Varisian human compared to a Chelaxian human. Or if we wanted to start breaking up the different types of elves, if we wanted to break up the different types of dwarves, those would be done by heritage. So you have your ancestry and your heritage, I believe is how that's going to play out. No other comments, so we're going to go on. So actions, they had a whole section just for actions that are divided up. And there were 3 types of actions I remember them doing, and you had your melee and ranged attacks, and then the one that I was going to note here, it's just a word change only, but for your movement, it was called stride. So my character's stride was 30 feet long. So it's not movement 30 feet or 6 squares, it's your stride is 30 feet. I can take 3 actions and stride 90 feet in that turn. Racial feat I mentioned last time, and my racial feat was the one that was the emotion protection, and it replaced it enchantment protection for previous elves. I actually took notes on what it was called, and I just wanted to mention that here, that racial feat was called Forlorn. So, if you guys were curious, your racial feat for elves is Forlorn, and it was the protection from emotions. I looked at some of the other racial feats. I don't remember what they were off the top of my head, and I only really took notes on my character as I was sitting there playing. Class feats. That's something else I was going to get into. I mentioned that my cat burglar in the last video, and that was wrong. It was actually cat fall. It wasn't a class feat. I had that listed in my notes as a skill feat. I'll get into that a little more in a second. My class feat for rogue, I didn't bring up last time, and the class feat was mentioned as nimble dodge. Now, my nimble dodge class feat, I didn't write down the details of what it did, but if I remember right, it gave me a +2 to my AC as a reaction on an attack. So it was one of those chances to use a reaction. I'm pretty sure I did it once in the combat where, as a reaction called before they roll, +2 to AC. That's going to be your nimble dodge class feat coming from rogue at first level. One of the other things I noted about skills, I already mentioned that thievery is the combination of both sleight of hand and disable device. There was also one thing I took down about craft. There was no dash after, or my thief at least had +3 in craft with no, wasn't craft alchemy, wasn't craft poisons, wasn't craft weapons, it was just craft. I didn't have a chance to explore that very much more, but maybe craft is going to be an overall skill and you don't have to go into multiple different types of crafting. Not sure though on that. I just noted on my sheet specifically it said craft +3. Skill feats, I mentioned the catfall before, and so I think, based on how I gleaned, skill feats might be something you get as you put more levels into specific skills. Don't take me at my word on that. I'm not 100% sure that that is correct. But skill feats are related in skills, and they're in the skill section. Catfalls stopped me from taking, I believe, 10 feet worth of damage, so I got 10 feet of it knocked off when you fell. The other one that my character had was Experienced Smuggler. I don't know how I missed this last video. I actually was quite intrigued by this. The whole concept is, if you're trying to hide a weapon, you're better at hiding the weapon. I don't remember if it was a +2 to hiding it. For some reason, I almost want to say it was something like the advantage, disadvantage, reroll, like take 2 rolls to take the higher or lower. In this case, they take 2 rolls to see it and take the lower. I think, but it might have just been they get minuses to seeing if you're smuggling. So if I'm trying to hide a weapon as a thief, it's much harder for them to see, and that comes as part of Experienced Smuggler. I want to say that was a skill feat related to thievery, but I didn't ask that question. And as I'm going through these notes, I'm starting to wish I'd asked a couple more questions that were a little more basic that they would have answered, whereas I did a lot of time asking questions that they were like, we can't talk about that. The only other thing I note down here in my notes right away that I feel like I didn't cover last time is gear. Gear was broken down into several categories, and that is a little bit different than what we've experienced in Pathfinder before now. You had 3 sets of categories for gear. One was your gear that is worn on you. One was your gear that is ready. My ready gear was my dagger, my rapier, and my thieves' tools. And finally, you had your stowed gear. Now, I didn't, again, question this, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to come into worn gear as a single action to pull out, or not worn, readied gear is going to be 1 action to pull out. We already mentioned in the last video that drawing a weapon is an action. I bet stowed gear is 2 or 3 actions in order to get to. Worn, I think, just signifies clothing that you're wearing or armor that you're wearing. So, just noting that they did have different qualities on gear. Stowed gear, worn gear, and readied gear. And I'm pretty sure that's going to relate to your action economy and how many actions it takes to get there. Checking the side, we have a couple of watchers right now, but no questions. If you guys have any questions for me, go ahead and post them. I am taking any questions about what I remember during this time. Otherwise, this will be kind of a short and sweet video. I'm just covering my notes that I didn't get to in the last video once I had a chance to look over them. I stupidly started the last video without having my notes in hand, and I didn't want to leave mid-video to go get them. I think that is the majority of the excess notes I had. I did in the last time also mention the critical strikes and fumbles, and how they aren't just on 20s and 1s, they are kind of related to a plus 10 or minus 10 is my understanding on those. I just have one last detail on my notes here where I do mention that they have different effects. I said that in the last video, but there was a lot of, crits double the damage effects, but there was also things where it was things I want to say where it like lit them on fire. The one thing I was going to mention is that alchemists, I didn't play the alchemist, but the alchemist goblin was in the group, and they had elongated effects, or effects that lasted. So when he threw a firebomb at the person, that person was then on fire for the rounds after and had to make saves against it or take a couple of fire damage. Same with acid. They took acid damage every turn after they were hit with the acid bomb. And that was for the direct target, not the splash targets. So that was a little bit of a different thing, that you're getting a bit of a damage over time with your alchemist bombs compared to just the one damage and the big splash damage. So that was the last real note that I had here. I haven't had any big questions yet. I'm going to stay live for just a couple more minutes in case you guys had any questions for me. I have a few viewers right now. If you guys have any questions about my Pathfinder 2.0 playtest, let me know over in the comments over here. I'll go ahead and answer them to the best of my ability. I played with a group of 6 people, I believe. It was a total of 6. Every character sheet was filled at the time. We had a wizard, a cleric, an alchemist, a paladin, a fighter, and a rogue. So if you have any questions, I have limited experience on all of those except the rogue. I did take one look at each character sheet just to get an idea, but it was a very long week and I don't necessarily remember all of them. If you don't have any other questions, I have gotten through most of my other notes that I didn't cover in the last video, and I don't want to keep everybody waiting too long. I figured I'd make this video kind of short and sweet. So with that all being said, I'm going to give you guys the quick rundown on the end of the formal stuff, see if we have any questions, and then we'll go ahead and tune out. Once again, I am Sakura here with Pop Culture Theory. You guys can find me around the web at Sakura on Facebook and Twitter, and you can find Pop Culture Theory on the web at Pop Culture Theory on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Go check us out on those channels. We're a lot more active on YouTube than the others, but I'm building a team around me, and we're going to be doing more with that stuff. I know I have a couple of giveaway winners out there. If you guys didn't catch my last video, all of those giveaways are going to be sent out on Friday is my goal. I have like 2 or 3 people I'm waiting to get some addresses from, and I want to send everything out at once. If you were one of those 2-3 people that hasn't gotten in contact with me, hit me up over on Facebook at facebook.com/popculturetheory or facebook.com/Sakura, and we'll get your address from you so I can send away those giveaway things. I also have one giveaway I'm doing this month, and I'm going to be announcing it at the end of the month here, maybe even 2 if I can squeeze it. So go ahead and pay attention. It'll be here in the next 2-3 days. I want to give you guys 7 days of chances to get into the giveaway. I also have a Patreon if any of you guys want to go check it out. Patreon.com/Sakura. If you guys can throw me $1 a month there, everything I get is going to go back to this channel. It's going to go back to removing those watermarks from my videos, getting me better equipment so I don't cut out from going live all the time. Just those kind of things. It's all stuff that I just want to put back into the channel and make these videos better for you guys. Other than that, I have no questions, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off here. If you guys have anything else you want to ask me in the comments below. If I find that I have any other information I can share with you guys, I'll make a part 3 to this video, but I just realized after that first one that I definitely had a couple more details that I hadn't shared, and I still knew. So, figured I'd just get all those out of the way, and, make all the Pathfinder 2.0 videos that I could at the time. I'm going to be buying into the playtest. If you want in on the playtest, I highly recommend you go talk to your local game store and get yourself one of the books. Tell them you want one pre-ordered just